Chapter 2. Max reached the corner of the house before Olivia, driving with her left foot, pulled out into Nelson Street. She waited until she had made her left on Main Street and approached the Swan Tavern before she pulled over. What just happened? She ran her hands through her hair. Confusion, joy, exuberance, trepidation vied for precedence. Only her throbbing right ankle kept her from hopping out of the car and jumping up and down. What did it mean? She took a deep breath and picked up her phone. It was Friday. Pizza and a movie with Grams and Garrett. Olivia ordered the pizza. Texted Garrett to pick it up. A light snow speckled her windshield. Time to go home. Thanking God for the foresight of an extra cane in the back seat, Olivia stepped gingerly into the living room, heading for her favorite recliner. Across the room, Grams, dressed in a large purple cardigan sweater and skinny blue jeans, didn't take her eyes off her work on a circular knitting machine. Hi, honey. A fine blue yarn ran steadily through the fingers of her left hand while her right hand cranked the machine. I'll be right there. I watched a video and I think I finally got it right. No drop stitches. I just have 5 more rows. Yay! Grams had been struggling with the machine since she got it 2 days ago. The needles stopped clicking. She spun around holding a tube of sparkly blue yarn. It's going to be a Christmas ball. She dropped the tube when she glanced up at Olivia. What happened to you? Slipped in the snow. I'll be all right. I probably won't move much from my chair, though. What do you think? She held up the scrunchy blue ball. Cute. Before Garrett comes, I need to ask you a question. Grams threaded a large-eyed needle with blue yarn. What about? Olivia got 2 sentences into her account of Max Ballard when Grams set aside her needle and the tube. You didn't bring him here. At once serious, her big eyes owled by the lenses of her glasses. Olivia raised her hands, palms out. No, of course not. I needed to talk with you first. I'll get you some tea and something for that foot. Spiky silver hair sparkled in the light cast by the chandelier, glowing in the dining room behind her. Olivia rested her foot on the outstretched footrest of her recliner. If she stayed off it and kept it up, she'd be much better tomorrow. Thank God for Grams. Olivia didn't know what she'd have done without her since the accident that took both her parents and shattered her ankle. She knew Grams would be in the kitchen praying before offering her advice. Sure enough, Grams returned with a cup of steaming tea loaded with honey, a pair of non-steroidals perched on top of her leather-bound Bible. You could touch him? Yes, we shook hands and he helped me when I fell. Other people could see him? Yep, Nate stopped by and shook his hand. There's only one thing left then. You have to ask him to confess Jesus as Lord. The spirits of Antichrist can't or won't do that. Just how am I supposed to do that? Not that I didn't know you were going to say that. I'd come to the same conclusion. Embarrassment warmed her cheeks. How do I walk up to a gorgeous man from out of nowhere and ask him to confess Jesus? The same way you ask strangers what their favorite song is before you sing it with them and bring them back to reality for a little while. It's hardly the same. Helping my patients communicate through music is not anything like this. It seemed simple enough, but her patients needed her. Max? She wasn't sure Max needed anything. A knock sent Grams to the door. I bring pizza and beer. Garrett swooped into the room, pizza in one hand, 6-pack of root beer hanging from a finger. He pet Grams on the cheek. What movie are we watching tonight? Her friend from high school had grafted into her family as her mega chef brother when they had both landed at William and Mary. I thought we had agreed on Narnia. Grandma searched the shelves for the DVD. Garrett retrieved paper plates. Grandma got a serving spatula. Olivia organized the remotes. It wasn't long before conversation ceased, and the click of Graham's circular knitter began in earnest. Garrett sat on the floor, cross-legged, leaning against the couch. If all of Narnia could be trapped in a curse, and Aslan could release it, wasn't the same true of Max? Grams, who did the book on curses? Derek Prince. There's a video. Olivia pulled her phone from her pocket and thumbed the blank screen. Nothing. Dead battery? It doesn't last a full 8 hours anymore. I'm going to have to get a new one. Try this. Garrett reached deep into his cargo pocket, pulled out a gray credit card with a wire attached. What? It's a solar panel. I made it for you. You can slide the credit card inside the holder you have on the back. It will give you a charge as long as there's sun. Olivia sat up straight. This is great. Why did you ask about curses? She didn't want to lie, but she wasn't ready to share Max with anyone, not even a brother. Because I have a question, and I think I read the answer in that book. I thought that once we were cleansed from the curses, we were clean. Are you saying we get more as we go along? Graham's machine silenced. Fighting against curses isn't a one-time thing. Remember him and his wife repeating the prayer of renewal? Olivia chimed in. Garrett flopped back against the couch, a frustrated mood she had seen him in before. He stretched out his long, thin legs. No. You need to rewatch it. Arms crossed, wheels spinning behind intelligent eyes. You want to watch it now? He challenged. Olivia shot across the room. Grandma nodded. Okay. Olivia navigated to the internet video channel. Max paced the conservatory. 250 years. In truth, it did not feel like such a long time. Until today, he hadn't realized he had not been permitted to see beyond the glass. The view outside his windows hadn't changed from the day he had walked into his wretched conservatory and had been cursed by Rebecca Stiles. And it was so cold out there. He was cold. Gloriously shivering blue cold. He could have stayed outside forever, feeling the snow land on his hair, the wind ruffling the folds of his shirt. He grabbed his coat and hat from its peg and once more stepped through the threshold into a new world. He took long strides to stretch his cramped legs. The warehouses were gone. He could see straight to the river. No tall-masted ships waited in berthings. No stevedores beckoned to one another. No villagers scurried from shop to shop, hollering greetings as they went. Even the thunder had quieted. Snow drifted from the sky in a slow, steady pace. If it kept up, there would be inches by tomorrow. He walked down Pearl Street towards Maine. Tom Nelson would be well pleased his house survived the years. The garden had lost its glory, as though time had scraped the canvas clean down to the dirt. Shame it was empty. He wouldn't mind seeing how Tom's 11 children fared. Surely it wasn't too optimistic to find the same open friendship in Tom's descendants that he had known in Tom. Max's shop was gone. The curving path to the waterfront remained, though obscured by snow. He stopped before a wooden sign erected near the entrance of the Swan. He glanced around to find that several of the wooden signs graced the street. It showed drawings and told brief history of the building. A civil war? Had George III been removed by Parliament as the Tudors before him? Who had Virginia championed? The replica of the Swan that stood quiet and empty before him wasn't a bad rendition of his old haunt. Too bad it was just a replica. He could use a draft and something to eat. He inhaled deeply. He had told Miss Woods the truth. He had everything he needed. He wasn't hungry. He craved the fellowship of those old friends. Had Rebecca cursed them all? Was it possible he would soon encounter a bewildered Sam Rogers or a Jabez Jones stumbling out of their houses, much as Max had done? He scanned the street once more. Alone. Alone without even rich wood-scented air. The aroma of supper at the Swan's wafting down, mixing with 100 other smells, both sweet and earthy. His heart ached, chest hollow. What had he done? Familiar mixed with strange. A new building replaced the old courthouse across from the Swan, all brick, glass, and metal. He couldn't like its impersonal facade. Instead of horses, conveyances similar to the one Miss Woods utilized for her journey stood awaiting their owners. The street was cleaner, but absent the snuffles and shuffles of a village awake with life. He wasn't sure it was a good trade. He let his hands fall to his sides. He could do nothing. He raised his head to heaven, palms open at his sides. I bow my will to yours. Through swirling snow, he thought he saw an idol with hands raised. Had they come to this? He shook off his lethargy and moved quickly towards the thing. It had to be over 100 feet high. Awe hit his spirit. No wonder people bowed to idols. He stepped closer to read the words adorning the base. Independence? The colonies were independent? Pride swelled inside his chest. The winds of discontent had been blowing when he had last walked these streets. They had done it. He raised his face to the snow-covered heavens and laughed. They had done it. We are a free nation. He hurried around the base of the large statue, commissioned in 1781. He had much to learn about the time he had been away. He knelt and traced the names of the fallen with fingers growing stiff in the cold. If only he had been there to help, he would have. There was no sense indulging the thoughts of what he could not alter. More than he could fathom must have changed in the 250 years. He had spent the last chunk of years studying and reading the Bible. He still didn't understand why God would allow Rebecca's curse to keep him trapped for so very long. His footsteps were no longer visible in the accumulating snow. Light was fading, but he needed no map to find his next step. He headed down Main Street, then down Church Street towards the river. Grace Church. It was still here. He skirted the main walk and made his way over snow-covered grass. After dusting more than a few stones, he found it. John Ballard, 1745. And then next to his father, Elizabeth Ballard, 1789. Mama. Mama with her knitting, sitting by the fire in the evening. Mama singing a hymn as she worked in her kitchen. How had she fared the Christmas he had disappeared? He wiped the watery obstruction from his eyes. Would he be able to go back, or was he stuck here? How could he make amends to Adelaide from 250 years away?